The moment the fear of God is gone, you are gone. You become familiar with God. You start touching people's breasts. That's how a pastor, a married woman came for counseling. He slapped her on the butt and said, there is something you are giving your husband that you are not giving me. I am a Korea Siakonde. You have forgotten that in the sanctuary the laws are different. Be afraid of God. Be afraid. You see, there are times where you need to leave the pulpit for 1 year. A man is struggling with immorality, will sleep here, he go to Mexico, go to Uganda, he will forget himself on 2 ladies. You know what? Leave the sanctuary. Leave the sanctuary. There is a possibility that a man behind the pulpit can trivialize the sanctity of ministry. God will try to restrain you. There will be many signs that will come to restrain you. And because you don't fall down and die the first day, you think God is not powerful enough. Meanwhile, the reason for God's long suffering is so that we can repent. And people get used to doing fleshly things in the sanctuary, even though they are deliberate attempts to resist. A man withstood 80 men. One man, but 80 men. A priest that came to resist him were valiant. That was how strong his flesh was. That 80 men could not resist him. He was bent on doing what he wanted to do, and he did it in the sanctuary. I'm just showing you what happens when a man is using flesh in the temple. It was in the midst of the temple while he was trying to burn incense that God struck him with leprosy. The iniquity of the sanctuary is what makes God come into his temple to judge. It's what makes God come into his house to kill. God did not design his house as a place of death. His house is supposed to be a place of life. But God comes down to bring judgment when people have refused to be restrained in the use of the flesh. The sanctuary is not a place for flesh. Ministry is not a place for flesh. This guy was struck with leprosy. And you know, God is so patient, and people have taken his patience to mean he's weak. 80 men came to restrain this man. He insisted on his ways. When God saw that he refused to respond to the restraint, he struck him. How many of you still remember Uzzah? Uzzah's case is also a very credible account of the iniquity of the sanctuary. There was a fundamental error because the ark was being transported on Israeli ground with Philistine technology. They put the ark in a new cart and they were transporting the ark. Scribes among them knew that this was not the means of transport for the ark, but everybody was singing praises to God in the midst of an outright violation of the divine order. And then the ark now stormed. And Uzzah, which means human strength, the strength of the fallen man, the strength of the old creation, was now extended to stabilize the ark. Maybe if the ark had fallen, they would have realized that something was wrong with the transportation. In order for them to continue in the error,